Hello. So, I'm actually laying down for 2 reasons. I actually made like half of the video, and then I started to get really bad vertigo, which has happened to me lately. So, laying down helps vertigo for me. But also, it's 6:23 in the morning. I haven't slept yet. I don't even know how I look, because I can't even really see myself as I'm laying sideways. But that's whatever. I haven't shaved, haven't showered in like fucking forever. Yeah, so basically, this past month, I've been like just in an obsessive thought loop about either transitioning or detransitioning, and I know it'll never end, because it's not like it's new. I've had this thought since before transitioning. And I went to 3 gender therapists. 3. And none of them were useful. You know, it's kind of funny. People have this misconception that there's like this super affirmative model in trans healthcare. And, well, first off, I just think my 3 gender therapists weren't very good for gender therapists. Here's the truth about gender therapists for everyone, because I've had 3. That's more than most have ever had. Here's the truth, right? 1, they're uneducated, less than the average trans person, guaranteed. Unless they're trans, in which case maybe they wouldn't be. But the 3 I've had were cis women. So, uneducated, great, useful. 2, not affirmative, even in the slightest. The only thing they've been affirmative on is my voice, which I hate. And so, it's like the one thing I wouldn't want them to be affirmative on, because like I know what I sound like, and I don't like it. So when they're telling me like, oh, you sound fine, it's like they're seeing me as a guy, right? If they think I sound fine, they're seeing me as a guy, because I sound like a guy. Girls don't sound like this, so I don't sound fine. So yeah, not affirmative at all. And in fact, my current therapist, not a gender therapist, just a normal therapist, is actually encouraging of my detransition. Last time I talked to her, which was a week ago, I actually see her in a couple hours. I'm hoping to get a little sleep before then. But it's okay if I don't. But I probably will. A couple hours. I might almost fall asleep, actually. I guess I should just say, like, I transitioned for dysphoria. And my dysphoria is worse than it's almost ever been. Although I'm optimistic about it getting better, maybe, a little, after spending like $6,000 more, which I can afford. So, I guess I shouldn't complain, right? But I feel like I get to. I'm in a much worse position than most trans people. Physically, and like you might say, oh, I know you're more beautiful than I'll ever be. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you have no fucking idea, trust me. I don't want to make myself cry. You trust me. You really have no clue. I have an autoimmune condition that turns my hair white, which makes laser impossible on certain areas. So that's really cool. That's good. That's great. I can't ever do laser on some certain parts of my body. And it also fucks my skin up in weird ways. You probably can't see it. Well, maybe you can, actually. You might be able to. The camera is sort of picking that up. Like, do you see here? It's not really. It's a lot more detailed in person. But it's like whiter here. See this? And here too. See that? It'll just attack random parts of my body and make me albino. And so like here and here, I'm albino. And it does that everywhere. And eventually it'll do it to my head, and when it does, you'll see like patches of white hair in my black hair, my dark brown black hair. So that's gonna like pop for a while. People will think I've dyed my hair or something, but that's just how my hair does. And yeah, I'm like super hairy, and I've kind of come to terms with that, and I'm trying to do laser, but it takes a long time. And I had an appointment last month, but I canceled it because I was gonna detransition. And that was stupid. That was so stupid. Although I invested the money I was gonna spend. Going to spend another $2,300, and I invested that back in, and I like tripled it. So I guess I can just take it out now again. So kind of for the best, maybe, but at the same time, not really, because I would have liked to have started. Time is sort of more important to me than the money. At this point. Yeah, so here's some thoughts of mine. Okay. I have not been showering or shaving. I have not been going outside at all. I've been having my groceries delivered. Thank fucking goddess for the Amazon delivery service. Ugh, what a life-saving. They can deliver Whole Foods to you, which is expensive, and I don't have the money for that. So I eat very meagerly. I eat like rice, beans, guacamole, which isn't bad. It's like Chipotle, and I throw a little chicken on there sometimes. It's like Chipotle at home, little cheese, and that's like my whole diet. Meat is like a treat. And then otherwise I'm just eating rice. The rice is pretty damn good though that I make. I got it down at this point. And I gotta say, it's pretty damn good. I've eaten like so many fucking servings of rice, and honestly, I'm not sick of it at all. It's like a curried, like turmeric, pepper, buttery rice, and then you throw a little cheese on, a little guacamole. It's actually pretty damn good. So I'm not complaining, but yeah, thank goodness for Amazon delivery. Because, God, I'd have been miserable if I'd have to go out like I am right now. Total shut-in. 100% shut-in. And unfortunately, I have to go out soon. 2 days? 2 days. People are getting ready for work. Normal people who go outside and shower and shave. Sometimes I'm in a mood like right now where I'm like, of course I'm not going to detransition. Of course I'm not, because I've got to transition. Like, the dysphoria is way too much, and I like being feminine. I like the effects. I love the effects sometimes. And then other times I'm like, it's not worth it. I'm ruining my life. I want to be fertile. I want to be a monk. I want to ditch all this fucking clothes. I want to wear robes. And I want to take no medication. And I want to go up into the mountains, which are very close to me. I can just hike up into the mountains, which I've done before, and almost died because I fell off a rock and fell probably only like 6 or 7 feet, but it felt like a long fall, and almost died. I was like this close to dying. And I ended up with like just an injured toe, but like if I had slipped after hitting the ground, I'd have fallen down several rocks into cactuses, and oh man, I'd have been fucked up. I wasn't taking the correct path. I was just climbing rocks like an insane person. I don't know what I'm talking about, but oh yeah. Well, yeah, it was kind of interesting because I don't know how I'm talking about this, but for whatever reason I'm on this topic now. But my legs gave out when I hit the ground, which almost caused me to fall forward or slip, which I would have probably died, or wish I was dead, because that would have been an awful, horrifying fall. But yeah, my legs gave out, and I realized like estrogen is like taking a lot of strength from me. A lot. I used to be able to do like 13, 14 pull-ups in like a set, and I can do one pull-up, maybe 2. I think I did 2 a few days ago, which is fine. I don't give a shit anymore, but it's like, wow, that's a big change. Yeah. I've also not been exercising, because fuck that. So that could be it too. I think I'm going to take my estrogen shot tomorrow, which is when I'm supposed to take it. I don't think I'm going to postpone it this time. Usually I postpone it a few days because I'm detransitioning. But I don't think I'm gonna. Not this time. Maybe next time. But I feel kind of more confident about it. Maybe this talking helps. Maybe this is better than therapy. I don't know. And also, it didn't help that my non-gender therapist, my normal therapist, was so encouraging of the transition and sort of discouraging of the detransition. I don't think that helped me and my stability. And she was just trying to be supportive, I think, because I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna finally stop this, and I'm gonna become a monk, and I'm gonna meditate, and I'm gonna exercise every day. Climb mountains. Do all this shit that I don't really even want to do. It's just a romantic thought. If I didn't care about it. I do still like the thought. It does. There's something that pulls me to that. Also, not taking medications and being fertile, maybe having a kid, bio kid, one day. I always thought I'd have a kid. I did. No, it's crazy. I always thought I would. Rather, perhaps I thought I had to. That's how I was raised. But I think I wanted it. To be a parent. Not in the normal sense, and if I explained it to you, you'd probably like me a lot less than you do, and you might not like me. So I don't think I should explain why I want to be. Well, now it sounds weird, so I'll just explain. I want to be a parent to, continue the human race in, a utilitarian sense. Procreate. DNA passing on. Obviously, as I got into it, I would have my own sort of parenting, like everyone does. And I think I'd be a more understanding parent than my parents were. At the very least. Maybe I couldn't give my kid the same upbringing in terms of wealth that I had, or in terms of but then again, my parents weren't very good. They were abusive. And they split apart when I was very young. So that was probably about the worst childhood I could really have, besides the fact that I was wealthy. Just thinking about things. Yeah, I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the video, but I laid down because of vertigo, but I think I like this system of doing vlogs. This is nice. I might come out muffled though in the end video, because I'm talking almost half into my pillow. You know what I mean? So it's kind of I don't know. Anyway. There's so much more I need to say, but I don't think I can say it tonight. I don't. There's thousands of thoughts I've thought thousands of times, and over the past 2 years of doubting my transition, which is a horrible feeling. There are trans people who don't seem to doubt their transition whatsoever. I envy them. And then there are those like me who suffer quite a lot. because of the doubts. And there are those like me who try to detransition. And there are those who successfully detransition. And then I've seen the whole gambit. I've read every post on our detrans, which is a Reddit subforum for detrans people, which gets a lot of hate from the trans community, and it does not deserve it. There are some bigots there. There are some TERFs who are trying to use detransitioners for their agenda. But for the most part, this is a group of vulnerable trans people who are figuring themselves out. That's what they are. Trust me, I've read their posts. They're trans people, they're vulnerable, they're confused, they're figuring themselves out. Some of them detransition. Then they're not trans anymore, right? Well, a lot of them still have dysphoria. And some of them retransition. Some of them do that immediately. Some of them retransition in a week, in a month, in a year, 2 years. Some of them you never hear from again. And a lot of them regret detransitioning because if they're male to female, that's what they use. Those are the terms they use, male to female. I do not use that for myself because I never thought of myself as male, and I don't really like labels in general, so I don't really think of myself in that term. But that's how they describe it, because it's easier to describe it for them that way, I think. But I think even their gender is a little more complex than that, to be honest. But by that point, they're so fed up with like gender thoughts because they're obsessed about it like me. They think about it for years. It's plagued them for so long that they just totally give up gender. Like they don't think about, they don't want any label. So they just use the male to female thing. Male to female to male. A lot of the times on that form. And obviously I'm focusing on that because I was assigned male at birth. So I don't really connect to the female people who are detrans on there. The female to male to female people, as they say. But anyway, yeah, the point is that a lot of them retransition and regret detransitioning, especially if they stop for like 2 years. If I stop for 2 years, okay, the balding that already exists, like I have a bad hairline, very bad, awful, honestly, bad. Luckily my hair can cover it, but it's bad. And if I stop for 2 years, oh boy, it would get so much worse. And then if I retransitioned, I'd never forgive myself. So they're trans people, and they're having a rough time, and they're very confused, and they're trying to figure out what they're. The thing is, I think transitioning is a choice. I could detransition, and I believe I'm trans as anyone. I have really bad dysphoria. Not that you necessarily need that, but I do. I have that, and I believe I'm trans, and I could detransition. And I could live the rest of my life that way. And the dysphoria would increase, and I would never feel like myself, and I would never have a relationship where I feel like I'm genuine with my partner. But I could marry a woman I could go to church and marry a trad wife woman, trad wife Protestant girl, and marry her and only have sex to procreate. And I could do that. That's a thought I've had. Because I'm insane, because I'm a chameleon, because I have BPD, and if you have BPD, you understand you can do anything. And you can trick yourself into doing anything if you want. And it's a scary brain to have, because it becomes real. But I'd never be like, I know if I did that, I'd always have in the back of my mind, like, there's a life I should have lived that I didn't. And I think I'm going to have that either way now, because I wanted a kid. And I could adopt, I know. But adopting, like, if I stay transitioned, I'm going to probably marry a trans girl. Just because, okay, look, I'm only really attracted to women, always have been, and I don't really want to date a cis woman because it would probably cause me dysphoria, and also she wouldn't really be able to relate to me like I want. So yeah, it's gonna probably be a trans girl, trans woman, trans feminine person. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to adopt if you're like a trans couple, just in general, but then also raising a kid. And obviously I'd have to get my life together. I'd have to get a job. I'm not crazy. I mean, I am, but I'm not, like, stupid. Well, not usually. It's obviously very far off, but it's a thought. And yeah, I might adopt one day. I might. My dad said, if you're gonna have a kid, you should probably get, like, a animal first, so you can, like, practice. I mean, I've had pets when I was young. He's sort of right, in the sense that, like, I could test my ability to, like, keep a thing alive. I guess. But having a kid is a lot different than having a pet. A lot different. And I think that's kind of dumb, honestly. It doesn't really make much sense to me. I mean, it makes a little sense. It does. And I would love a cat. I've always wanted a cat. But I don't really want to subject another creature to being around me. Unless it's, like, someone I'm related to by blood. I don't know. He's probably right. He's probably right. I mean, but when I think about having a kid, I think about, like, taking him to school, making lunches, taking him to the hospital, to doctor appointments, taking him to extracurriculars. It's more of being, like, a chauffeur, and then also, like, when they're, like, young, taking care of all of their needs, like diaper changing and stuff. Yeah, with a pet, you're not going to really get this sort of thing. I mean, I guess there's, like, a litter box with cats. It's not really the same at all. Not at all. Like, it doesn't really translate. I don't know. That's what I think. Anyway. But I'd like that, if I can find the right person, which is unlikely at this point. It's kind of funny. Just like yesterday, I was saying I was gonna marry this person I was talking to, saying I'm gonna marry you. And now we're not ever gonna talk again. Just like yesterday. Just yesterday, I was gonna marry them, and now we're never gonna talk again. They've hurt me a lot in the past. So many times. So deeply. And then they did it again. And in a way that I just will not tolerate from anyone. So, yep. Call me whatever you want, but I told them it was done, and I blocked them. Because I had to. Is that wind? It's gonna be a windy day, it sounds like. I should have slept like half an hour ago. Is there anything else? I don't think so. Not really. I mean, really my thoughts have just been like detransition, transition. And I think, honestly, a lot of the detrans thoughts come from like internalized whatever the fucks. Like internalized trans misogyny or internalized transphobia or just like, or not even like internalized, just like transphobia I direct at myself, which sounds like internal, but it's almost like I'm telling myself things a bigot might tell me. But also I think like that's to protect myself, because like maybe I should detransition. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Is, if there's such a thing. I think I'm going to take shrooms some days very soon again. I'm going to start that up again, because that opens my mind a little and might help me decide on a path. Whatever path it is. I'm so fat. Well, actually not that fat, but I'm a little fat. But lately, yeah, I'm kind of fat lately. I've never been this heavy before in my life. And I'm eating rice. And, okay, a lot of guacamole. But, I don't know why I'm fat. Like, I feel like the estrogen totally changed my metabolism. Like totally changed my metabolism. But I guess it is what it is. It is what it is. When I started transitioning, I was like, I was at the best shape of my life. And I was super thin too. And I looked fucking hot. So I'd say I looked hot. Yeah, I looked hot. I liked how I looked. And I didn't have as much scars, and I didn't have the whitening of the hair yet. Then I had surgery, and now I have scars all over me. And my hair started to turn white. Like, I probably shouldn't share this, but I'm kind of delusional right now because of this lack of sleep, so I'll just share it. Although I'll probably regret this, but like my underarms, like this might sound good, but it's not. My underarms are like basically completely white. Like the skin is like albino, and the hair is like as white as white gets. It's way whiter than my skin, for instance. You wouldn't even believe how white it is. You wouldn't believe something could be so white. But like all the pigment's just totally gone. And so I can't get laser there anymore. And it's like, if I had transitioned when I was younger, not only would I have to do less laser, but I'd be able to do the laser. Now I can't do it, ever. And it's like, yeah, I could probably get electrolysis, but electrolysis doesn't really work, in my experience. Maybe my electrologist sucked. I'm sure it works, it must work. It didn't really work for me. Also, it scarred the fuck out of my chin, which you may or may not be able to see, but I have scars all over my chin from it. That's because I did it on myself. I was stupid enough to try to do it on myself. So yeah, my body's just like overall worse than when I started transitioning. Except for I have a lot less hair, which is nice. Very nice. Really nice. I shouldn't discount that. And I was looking at old pictures of myself before transitioning. And I wasn't ugly, but when I put them side by side, it's like I want to be the one on the right. I want to be me. I want to be the girl that I see. And the guy is like a precursor. It's like this weird like ancestor. It's like a precursor. It's like I was never really that, but I was my whole life. But it's bizarre. I do not relate to it at all. It really is quite bizarre. It's like that was me, and I felt almost fine back then. That's the thing. Like my dysphoria, even in terms of facial hair, wasn't that bad. It was only when I decided that I was definitely going to transition that my dysphoria became almost unbearable and has just gotten worse because I haven't been helping my, like, until recently, even though I had doubts, I had been doing the laser and stuff and all sorts of different things to make myself feel better and continue transitioning. And just recently, I moved to shots. I moved to injections, which I freaking love. Like, it's like it's like I wasn't even taking estrogen until I got on injections, honestly. Gosh, I have a sort of shadow, actually. This is kind of disgusting. I don't have that much hair, but it's like, but yeah. Yeah, so recently I stopped, and I stopped because, one, I was too exhausted. I think the estrogen is making me tired. It's like Sleeping Beauty, except I'm not that pretty. So, it's like sleeping disgusting. Sleeping horror. I'm sleeping horror. I'm sleeping horror. And I just sleep all the time. Although I didn't sleep all night and still haven't slept. But I'm going to sleep before my therapy appointment, hopefully. hopefully a little. I think I will, because I'm very tired. But let's talk a little more, because I've actually not felt this good. I've stopped doing videos, and I haven't felt this good for like a long time. That's very interesting. Like, I felt so horrible lately. I kind of feel like, besides the tiredness and the vertigo, I feel good. I feel confident about transitioning at the moment. Because I'm talking about it, I guess. You know, it's possible that I'm just so easily influenced that when I'm using the computer, it's like I'm brought down by something. I'm brought down by, like, the idea of others. Maybe there's some shame there. Not shame in that I'm not proud to be I'm proud to be trans. I got a trans flag over there. But shame is sort of like when you are concerned about the way other people perceive you, and your hope and the idea that they perceive you negatively. That's a form of shame. Is to sort of feel like others are perceiving you negatively, even if they're not. I definitely have that, for sure. I gotta say though, I don't really do the whole girl thing very well either. Like, going out in feminine clothing and makeup is hard for me. And it's not supposed to be hard. It's just as hard as before I transitioned and I would go out in makeup and girl clothes, which I used to do when in like high school and stuff. But back then, it was like sort of like a funny thing. I never thought about it as a trans thing, because I didn't know about trans people. Well, it wasn't like a funny thing. It was like just something I did. Never thought about it as anything. But I knew it was wrong. I knew it was like weird, because no one else was doing it, and I knew other people would make fun of me. No one ever made fun of me for that, oddly. They made fun of me for other things, but not that. Like calling me gay and stuff. Which is funny to me now, because I'm definitely like gay, but but I never liked guys, really. So, like I like guys like about this much. Very small amount. So it was like, I don't know, it's kind of funny. But, my eyes are very tired. I think I've been like squinting this whole time because there's a really bright light literally right there, and you can see the shadow I cast. Like, so it's kind of blinding me, honestly. Anyway, I guess I don't want to detransition then, huh? I thought I did. I thought I had to. That's the thing. Like, I always knew I would be uncomfortable with it. But I'm uncomfortable with myself now. But it's like I'm uncomfortable due to the dysphoria, but like I'm comfortable in a weird way as well. Like, I don't know, I like the femininity that I've added to my life. I haven't even added that much femininity, really. Very minimal amount. And I don't really know how to do makeup, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't contour, which is kind of an important thing for trans makeup. I don't contour at all. And I probably should try it. I think I have bronzer. So I'm gonna try it next time I feel like doing makeup, which is not gonna be for a long time. I need to do a lot more laser before I feel comfortable really presenting as female outside. And I don't even really want to. This is an issue with me that I've not figured out yet, in terms of if I continue transitioning. I don't really want to present female, but I want to present feminine. And I do like dresses and certain skirts and stuff like that. And if I wear that, people are thinking, I know people are thinking, this is a trans person who's trying to present femininely. I know that's what they're thinking. That's fine, I guess. But they're thinking, like, what they're really thinking is, this is a man who's trying to look like a woman and failing. But that's not even what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to just, I have my own style. It's weird, but is it feminine? Not even really. Sometimes it's skirts, sometimes it's dresses. I don't even really think of it as feminine so much. But other people will, absolutely, 100%. And so it's very kind of upsetting, because it's like, even if people are like being kind to me in their head, they're probably not seeing me how I want to be seen, which is more like just a feminine soul, a feminine essence, like not a woman or guy, just like this nondescript femininity, but also weird, just weird. I'm very weird. That's just what I like. I mean, I've always liked that. Always. Even before I knew about trans people. Which I only learned about trans people during college. Before that, I had heard about trans people. Well, I never heard about trans people. I heard about transsexual once in my whole life, and it was a derogatory. It was used in like a derogatory way by, I think, my dad. So that was my experience. Like, transsexuals are these like freaks, these like bizarre like perverts, I guess. That wasn't what was said, but that's what the sort of feeling, the vibe I got was from, I think it was my dad, but it was so long ago. And the funny thing is, now my dad's been very supportive of me. More supportive than my mom, oddly. I thought it'd be the opposite. I thought my dad would be like, you really don't know until you transition. It's really quite bizarre. Because I always thought of my mom as like the supportive one, and the empathetic one, although she is not very empathetic. both my parents are sort of narcissists. And I don't say that sparingly, like, especially my dad is like 100% like a narcissist. But he loves me. And so I put up with the narcissism and the racism but like I said, he is bizarrely supportive of me in this. Bizarrely. And that's very cool. My mom is not at all, and I thought she would be. And I was looking forward to her being. It's not that she's unsupportive, although sometimes she is. I think the last thing I said to her was I asked her to use like they, them pronouns instead of masculine pronouns. And she just sort of scoffed at me. Like, or no, she was like more like, I'm not going to do that. That's what she said. That's not happening, or I'm not going to do that, or something to that effect. I think, the thing is, I don't think she was being transphobic. I think she just thought it was stupid because she's one of those people who's like, you know, they, them is plural, which is not true. But she's one of those people, I think. And so she thought I was being like I don't know. But that was the last thing I said to her. And then she scoffed at me, and then basically I said, all right, well, good conversation as always, bye. Our conversations are never good. So. I don't think I'll ever see my mom again. I haven't seen her for 3 years. I see my dad often because he lives near me. I don't think I'll ever see my mom again. And my dad can be, again, he's a full-blown narcissist, so he literally asked me to describe jealousy to him. Like, you know, I was telling him about like why I was transitioning, and you know, describing like jealous thoughts I get when I see trans women who get to transition and not have doubts. And I'm like so jealous and envious more so, but jealous as well. And he's like, you know, can you describe jealousy? I don't think I've ever really, I don't understand. Like some sort of alien. Of course he's felt jealousy in his life, right? Then I thought about my dad's life. He hasn't, really. He has one of the highest paying jobs in the country. In the government. And he's incredibly wealthy. He's owned many businesses, and he's a smart, successful alpha male who lives in a log cabin house and cuts down trees and dirt bikes and hunts and had, you know, he procreated, he had kids. He did what his alpha male mind commanded. And jealousy, where in his life would jealousy fit? I thought about it. It's pretty interesting because my life is basically surrounded by jealousy. Every cis woman I ever see, every trans woman I ever see, I'm jealous of. And that's probably unhealthy, but that's how I am. And yeah, it was an interesting thought. And I did explain it to him, and he did understand after a little bit. But yeah, he's never felt jealousy like I feel. But yeah, so that's sort of how it is sometimes talking to my dad. He's also kind of a bully, but interestingly, well, he bullied me about being trans when I first transitioned, but he's come around on that quite substantially. To the point where he's one of the most supportive parents I've ever heard about. He's one of the most supportive parents in terms of like being supportive of the transition that I've ever seen. Total 180. Yeah, pretty cool. Unexpected. Very unexpected. You know, that's the thing, is like I call him a narcissist, and he probably is. And so does my therapist. So it's not just me. My therapist does as well. Or at least she said it sounds like narcissistic, or she said it sounds like narcissism. But and that's before I ever told her my dad was a narcissist. So she came up with that on her own. But he is. I mean, everyone in my family agrees. My sister, my mom. Interestingly, that doesn't make him a bad person. It just makes him sometimes extremely difficult to connect with and deal with, because his mind basically is a projection machine. It only can project his will. So anything he feels is reality in his mind. Anything he feels is what's right to do, well, that's what you should do. And if you go against that, you're not doing it right, or you're doing it wrong specifically. And that's been very hurtful when I was growing up, in a lot of very bad ways. He just doesn't have any empathy, really. Well, sometimes he doesn't. And I don't know where the whole transition support came from, honestly. I think it's because he does love me, and he loves the interactions I have with him, and I like the interactions I have with him sometimes too. Like as just a person, not even as his kid, but he likes talking to me as a person, which I appreciate. We talk about finances, we talk about programming, we talk about cryptocurrency stuff, we talk about stocks and world events and ideas and reality and, lofty, abstract, cerebral sort of shit. And I don't get that from my mom at all. So he appreciates we seem to have very similar minds, he and I. Whereas my mom, I've never connected to in my whole life, really. Anyway, how long is this video? I can't even read the time. My eyes are so blurry. I can't even read from sleep. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else transition related? I think I've done pretty good. I think well, I have that therapy appointment later today that I'm gonna still sleep. I'm gonna wake up, talk to her, and I want to tell her, gosh, it's how do you put a whole week of thoughts into a therapy session? It's very difficult, but I want to tell her, like, hey, I'm feeling good about transitioning now. If you're not supportive of that, I'm out. Because I can't. I'm not gonna have doubts from her and me. Like, I can't take that. Sorry, I'm so itchy. My hair keeps touching my nose and face. I'm not usually this itchy. Like one strand of hair, this strand, can't even see it, keeps touching my face, making me itchy. The thing is, I really like my therapist, and it sort of surprised me how supportive of detransitioning she was. But honestly, I think she was just being supportive of me in general. But that's stupid because I'm insane, and I change my mind literally every 20 minutes. Literally, yesterday, 2 days ago, I changed my mind about transitioning maybe 70 times that day. Not an exaggeration. 70 times. I went, I'm going to definitely detransition. I'm going to definitely transition. I'm going to definitely detransition. For this reason, this reason, this reason. I'm going to definitely transition for this reason, this reason, this reason. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. BPD. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's how it happens. That's how it attacks. Doubts about everything. It's not just transition. It's not like this is new to me. It's one thing or another, It's one thing or another. It's always changing its mind. Torturing me. I love being trans. I love being trans. And I love estrogen. I just hate the fact that I'm infertile. And yeah, you can stop estrogen and maybe gain it back and preserve your cummies and fuck. Okay. I might have to go to sleep. Shit. I get extremely. Oh shoot. I get very paranoid when I stay up too late, and that makes it very hard to go to bed because I start seeing things that are very, very scary. Doesn't take long. Literally, if I stay up for like even a little later than I should, I start hallucinating. That was pretty scary. I'm okay, it's very unsettling and it makes it hard to fall asleep. And it only happens when I don't sleep for a little while. For whatever reason, my brain is very, 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 very readily susceptible to like sleep deprivation hallucinations. I'm just saying a lot of things in this video, a lot of very personal things. I miss this. I miss pouring my heart out and talking about myself. I guess I like talking about myself. Yeah. At this moment, I have almost no doubts that I'm going to keep transitioning. But again, I wish I were fertile. And I'm not going to do the banking, the, cummies thing because, one, I don't want to. I just don't want to do that. Like, the physical act of doing that. And I don't want to have to detransition for that. Wow, I really am hallucinating. It's very scary. Keeps happening. And keep losing my train of thought when I see things. Oh my god. My brain is a fucking nightmare. Now I feel like... But anyway, yeah, I keep losing my train of thought every time I see something. Okay, I think I'm gonna end the video. That's unfortunate that I have to end it like this. But I don't want to keep like spazzing out and... kind of wanted to end it on a better note though. But yeah, I don't want to like have to do all that just to have my like stuff sitting in a fucking bank somewhere, right? I have to like trust that. I hate everything about that. And the funny thing is like I don't even know why I give a fucking... I don't even know why I care that like I want to pass my DNA on. I don't even know why that matters to me even in the slightest. I don't know why I want that. It's like a natural thing. It's like just, for me, it's just like I was born with this thing and I was mainly raised to think this way. And that sucks. But there's no point to it. Like, the human race is going to continue without me. I know that. It's almost like a game. It's almost like a game to me. Like, and it's very gross. Yeah, I think this is like the one last like vestige, the one last like remnant of my sort of masculine side, or my sort of like toxic masculine side, is this procreation game that I've always had in my head. I don't like it, but it is there. And so I have to, if I detransition, I ignore basically everything about myself. If I transition, I ignore this, I think, fundamental drive there's jealousy on both sides, no matter what I do. Because my life isn't perfect. I'm trans. I don't get to have the, normal functioning body. I don't get to have that. I have to take medicine my whole life. I can't reproduce normally. That's just the reality. But the reality also seems to be that I am trans. It's just what it is. It doesn't even necessarily make my life much better to transition. It makes it a little better, just a little bit. But not much. Maybe when I get my legs done, my laser on my legs, and my face again, then it'll matter a lot. I think I can just finally feel comfortable. I have not felt comfortable in my body since I was 14. 12 years. I'm not gonna cry because I'm too tired, but I think that would normally make me cry. You know what's interesting is that, like, I'm always unstable, but recently, like I just said earlier in this video, I had someone I was in love with. I was in love with them. And that had to end, and very abruptly. And normally I'd be a complete wreck about it, but it didn't even faze me a little bit. And I have to attribute that to the estrogen. I have felt, since I've started taking shots, I have felt substantially more stable. Still obsessive, but substantially more stable in terms of emotion than I've ever felt. It's kind of funny because I know people say they go on estrogen and it makes them like cry a lot and stuff. The thing, before I transitioned, when I was still just a cis dude, I guess. Never really thought of myself as that, but that's what I was, I guess. I forget what I was saying. Before I transitioned, what was I going to say? I have no idea. No clue. It's probably really interesting too. Oh well. I'll give it a second. While I lay here. I have no clue. Damn it. Don't you hate that? I hate that. I'll probably be able to know it after, if I, watch this part of the video back and see what I was going towards. But, yeah, unfortunately that thought's gonna have to end there. Too tired. Okay. I think I'm just wasting someone's time if they watch this long. So if you watch this long, you're insane. But thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you insane, but I mean, like, why? This has been useful for me, though. I feel a lot more confident in my decision to stay transitioning. It's hard. It's not easy. Detransitioning would be a million times, like, easier, but I can't, I guess. Not if I want to, like, live one good life. But yeah, sort of, I do have other thoughts I kind of could talk about, but thanks for watching if you watched this far. I might ramble a bit more, but this is sort of getting to the end. Well, I was just thinking, I don't know if I can find love. I want to. I want to be able to, but I don't think I can find that. I don't think I'm going to be able to find that anymore. Like, I really connected to this person. And yeah, I'll probably maybe find some, but it's not about, like, finding someone so much. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find someone close to you. This person was close to me, and I connected with them. But they were so unbelievably awful that I'm glad nothing happened there, honestly. You know, it takes a while to learn people, who they really are. Now what I'm saying, though, is I think my BPD is sort of going to ruin every relationship I try to get into. Someone would have to be real intelligent to deal with me. Intelligent and empathetic. Really intelligent. The reason they have to be intelligent is because if you let me convince you that I hate you, if you let me convince you that of all these things, and I'm good at convincing people of things, if you let me argue you into, like, submission, or you let me, like, if you let me, like, but more so, it's more so that, like, you need to be able to spot when I feel betrayed. And if you can't spot that and call it out, you know, the funny thing is, there was one person I've ever met in my whole life. Turns out they're a Nazi. Of course. But the one good trait about them, this is not the person I was into, by the way. This is a totally different person I'm talking about now, this Nazi person. I met them in a Nazi Discord. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not racist. Well, not intentionally. But I try to understand race issues. But I go into Nazi discourse to understand the evil in this world. And because I'm a little self-destructive, and when I feel like in a self-destructive mood, I like going in there with like the most trans, like my profile picture on YouTube, and just having them like tear into me, just give me the worst. Because the funny thing is, like, bigots don't know how to do it right, you know, because they're not trans. Their stuff is weak compared to what like I do to myself. It's really weak. I'm much harsher on myself than they are on me. So it's kind of like almost comforting in a way. It's like, oh, well, this isn't so bad. And it distracts me from my self-injurious thoughts. But yeah, if I date someone, they have to be like super good at like figuring out that my BPD has been triggered and calling me out, like literally like saying like, hey, you know, I see you feel betrayed. And I don't know, they'd have to deal with that. It's not easy. That's the only way it'll work. But yeah, there's this one Nazi person. They were the only person I've ever met who called out when my BPD had been triggered. They're very smart. And they called it out in the most eloquent way. And for a moment, I felt understood by a Nazi. That sucks. They're not like, well, I mean, see, the thing is, they would have issue with me calling them a Nazi. But they're a total fucking Nazi. They're a Holocaust denier. And I'm Jewish, so I'm not okay with that, obviously. I mean, you know, you can be offended by the term Nazi, but if you're a Holocaust denier and you're a white nationalist, I'm going to call you a Nazi. So, obviously. Yeah, but they made me feel understood, which is cool, because now I know that's possible, you know. This random person I met. So, the reason I talked to them, because I was talking to them in DMs. That's how they got to know me so well. Although they called it out in like the first like 3 days of knowing me. Pretty amazing. Although we did talk on VC for like 10 hours. The first time we talked. Because they were thinking of killing themselves. And I could tell that they were trans. And so I talked to them for 10 hours. I used to even have the recording of it, but it's gone. And yeah, talked to them for 10 hours. They ended up I got them to buy estrogen. I'm not pushing that, but like clearly they wanted it, and they were so Nazi-ish that they just could not accept themselves. They couldn't. They could not accept who they were. And they tried to transition. They did one dose, and then they detransitioned. And they're totally trans, in my opinion. I mean, I can't say that, but I talked to them for a while, and yeah, I mean, they're totally trans. Like, you can just tell by how they say things and how they feel about things, and basically describing dysphoria without saying the word dysphoria, and you know, stuff like that, and being kind of feminine and cute. Yeah. It's a shame. I think there's hope for them, but not a lot of hope. They're kind of stuck in that hole. Deep, dark hole. Don't go there, everyone. You don't want to go there. Don't be a Nazi. You'll hate yourself. I wonder if all Nazis hate themselves. Or just the trans ones. I think they do all have this, the weird thing is, I know this is totally just a stupid ramble at this point, but I think I'll end it soon, but end the video soon, but the thing is, like, they hate trans people and gay people. And then when I go in there and gay it up, they're like, super, like, they're so vitriolic. They're so, like, attack, destroy. They're like it's like a hornet's nest. It's like the trans girl goes in and everyone, it's like the hornets, it's like you whacked a hornet's nest, and it's just mayhem, and it's just like attack, destroy. And it's like, what is driving that? And I think a couple of them are very gay. And in fact, one of them straight up, like, after, like, assaulting me for, like, an hour and realizing I was, like, not a bad person, and, like, I go in there, I just try to be nice and show them humanity. Because I think if I can convince one Nazi to not be a Nazi, that'd be pretty cool. And there's been a couple, but there was this one guy who, like, started hitting on me after, like, I was just being attacked for, like, an hour. Then he sort of shifted gears and started, like, saying, like, all the, like, gay things he would do to me. Maybe the Nazis are just repressing trans people and repressing gay people. So we should give them a little love and understanding, maybe. Unless they're being violent. Okay, yeah, it's time to sleep. It's time to go to bed. Good night, everyone. Good morning. I love you. If you watched, I love you. And I hope you're doing okay.